When my dad abandoned us, it was more a blessing than a curse. He used to hit my mom so much that during the time that they were together, she ended up in the hospital many different times. So when he left, my mom had to get 2 full-time jobs. And I became, at the age of 6, the mother of my siblings. And I quickly learned the difference of what was to be a sister and a mother. I had to put my brother and my sister's priority first, their safety, their well-being, and whatever they needed before my needs. And as the oldest, I had to do that to help my mom. So as I grew older, I fell in love with the first person that showed that they should care of me and show interest in me. And during that time, life was so adventurous. We got married, and I had just graduated college, and I had a lot of money, and I had asked my mentor to let me borrow his camera to start photographing. And I charged like $100 for all-day photo shoots. And that's how I started my photography business. And it's interesting because during that time, I was too young to realize what was to be a business owner and the responsibilities that came from it. And also, like, what was to be a wife? It's interesting how in life we get prepared for a lot of things, but sometimes we don't get prepared to ask the hard questions, and not to ask questions to others, but to ourselves, such as like, what marriage means to you and to me, and how that looks like. How does it look like growing together? How's finances? What's the role I'm gonna take, in this partnership? Those questions, sometimes those things, can take a big effect. But once in a while, they work on its own over time. In my case, those became a problem, but honestly, those were little headaches compared to other things that start happening. Like one day, I was doing laundry, and I found this woman clothing in the basket. And when I approached him, he said, "That's probably some clothes that you bought a couple of months ago, and you probably forgot about it." And that spiraled to a lot of fights, and fights that at the beginning escalated from verbally to more intense verbally, and then at one given point, physically. But I didn't realize that was happening, as we were fighting, and sometimes a chair was thrown at me, or I was easily intimidated because this 6'4" guy will put me under the wall, and as we were fighting, he will throw like a fist really close at me, right? Not exactly hitting me, but just enough so I could feel it. And then over time, the walls of my apartment just had a bunch of holes. But he said he was sorry, and he loved me. And I believe him because, when you get married and somebody tells you that they love you, why would they lie? But those events start escalating to other things that were humiliated and degrading. And I think that sometimes it's not about what you do, but how you do it. Because how you do it, you can take someone to the hurt, and you can hurt someone to a very, very deep level, so deep that it can be torture, and you can torture them with your actions. And that's how it started to be. It became so bad that one day I came back to home and I wasn't let in at my own house because there was a girl in there, and I was told that I was an ex-wife who couldn't get over him, and I was trying to look for him. And that was so painful. It was humiliating to a point that I stopped losing interest in things. I stopped working on my business, and that led for me not to have money to pay my bills. I stopped eating. An adult size 0 became too big for me, and I started losing interest in just regular things in life. And I didn't think that was so bad. I didn't even realize this was happening until one day, my best friend at the time and my mom asked the maintenance to come and open the door of my apartment because apparently I hadn't answered my phone in days. And as they walked into the apartment, they found me in bed, and as my mom held me in her arms, I was physically too weak for them to get me out of bed. And I remember opening my eyes and telling my mom, I was crying and telling her, just let me sleep. I just want to be left alone. Just let me sleep. And I thought at the time that was gonna be the biggest pain I'll ever experience. There's no other way, there's no way that I will experience a deeper pain than what I feel right now. And I thought that I had gotten to my lowest point. So after that incident, my best friend, the one that went to the apartment with my mom, started telling her husband, Isabel needs a lot of support, So as my best friend, she told him I'm gonna go to the movies with her, and we're gonna take a small little trip to Chicago, and then, this weekend I'm gonna spend the night with her, and all these things, right? And she did it. There was just a tiny little problem. She didn't do them with me. She did them with the guy that she was having an affair with, and to excuse her behavior, she used my situation. And when her husband approached me and told me about what was happening and told me what my friend was doing, then I thought, the amount of pain that my body started feeling was indescribable, because as humans, when we get to romantic relationships, we know that we run into a risk that person might break our hearts. But when we start friendships, we treat them like family that we have chosen and that we trust, and that we give everything we have. And so that hurted most deep than the other heartbreak. And as I got into my car and I started driving, all these things came into my head. And I was driving and I was thinking, I don't have anything. I just lost my apartment, so I don't have money to pay anything. I don't have a job, I employ myself. And why people say that life is worth living when you have love, friends, and family? People in those three categories have got me to where I am right now. This deep amount of pain, a pain so bad that as I was driving, there was a huge silence where I heard myself cry. And then I felt such amount of pressure in my chest, so bad that I couldn't breathe. And then something distracted me. In the side mirror, there was this beautiful sunset. The sun was coming down with these beautiful colors. And then I thought, wow, how beautiful it is how the day is ending. And then I looked to my right, and then I looked to my left, and then I thought, this could just be another car accident, one of many, and nobody will